My name is Chris DiOrio, and I'm going to be giving a talk about accelerating grain adoption. So, if you look at where we are today with grain RFID, our industry last year connected more than 10 billion items. 10 billion. It's a very, very large number. More than one item for every person on the planet. And opportunities such as retail apparel worldwide, connecting billions of items and improving sales efficiencies, inventory accuracy, and in many stores increasing sales by up to 10%. In other fun ways, for example, Top Golf, with grain tags in the golf balls, so that you can have sporting events and hitting golf balls out into the field where the system automatically tracks and knows where you hit versus where everybody else hits, so that many golfers can play simultaneously. For pharmaceuticals, here, Omni Pharmaceuticals, connecting more than 50 million items per year across more than 500 product categories in a fully automated pharmaceutical factory. Marathon runner, with rain tags in the marathon bib. I've actually used these tags multiple times over the past year for automatic tracking of the race. Airlines, we'll talk a little bit more about Delta Airlines and the future of bag tagging using rain. And everything to Coke Freestyle machines, where the syrup cartridges inside the machines have rain tags on them. And the machine automates its operation based on rain RFID. So with all of these use cases, we have come so far as an industry, yet the grain industry today connects just 0.1% of the connectable items. If you think of everything that we can connect, all pharmaceutical items, all retail apparel, all retail goods, all blood draws, all biospecimens, all sporting goods, all automobile parts, all airline luggage, airline cargo, airline parts. And then even think all food items, as we're starting to see in some of the examples the prior speaker just went through. The total number of connectable items is measured in trillions per year. And really the only technology suitable for connecting those items at low cost, long range, able to read up to 1,000 items per second without a battery, is grain RFID. So how can we, the Alliance members, accelerate grain adoption and connect that remaining 99.9%? So that will be the subject of my talk today. So first task for our Alliance is to make deployments easy. How do we do that? To make deployments easier, we need to collaboratively address the industry challenges. We as an Alliance members can work together to address the challenges in the industry, the technical challenges, the deployment challenges, and that's really why we are here as the Alliance. And then use these meetings to foster business relationships to drive those deployments. And in so doing, help our end users in retail, aviation, cosmetics, convenience stores, and so many other areas. And there is a saying that deployability, when you have a deployable system, it becomes repeatable. And repeatability drives scale. And that's what's happened in the retail industry, where somewhere between 5 and 10% of all the taggable retail items today are actually being tagged. But in other industries, we have a long ways to go to get to the point where we can get scale. So as I think towards the future, in terms of what the industry can do, I can think of two areas where we as an Alliance can make progress. One is to drive fixed reading, and two is to drive embedded tagging. Historically, the leading adopter of grain RFID has been retail apparel. And most of the retail apparel today is connected using handheld readers. A store employee goes out of the store and does an inventory and gets the information about all tags in the store, reading hundreds of items per second, quickly inventorying the store, and allowing stores to improve their inventory visibility. And that use case will continue. But as you think about the other areas where we want to connect items, in hospitals, in airlines for baggage transport, in food tagging in stores, in the smart refrigerators and smart vending, the future opportunity is to have readers as part of the environment, fixed readers, embedded in everything from a Coke machine and a smart refrigerator to readers in hallways and walkways and in stores. So historically, humans could overcome the reading challenges of brain RFID and just go in and make a system work. What we as an industry need to do is to drive fixed reading, solve problems around transition detection and read zone confinement, and make those systems, those fixed reading systems work. And you can see it happening today. We talked at the Brain Alliance meeting here yesterday about Delta Airlines and how they deployed hundreds of facilities with thousands of readers. And they have made a system work where to track my bags back, they can track my luggage as it goes from check-in to the airport, to the airplane, off the airplane, and to a conveyor system. Essentially all using fixed reading. So what can we as an industry do? Working together, we can focus on deployment tools and learnings, sharing learnings among ourselves, and developing tools to help our end customers make fixed reading easier. And improving reader and tag sensitivity, making brain technology better, so that it's easier for those end customers to use the technology. And the second thing that we can really do, I believe, looking towards the future, is to drive embedded tagging. Historically, tags have looked like this. This is a swing tag from Uniqlo. Just goes, it's the price, actually the price label. It says what the item is, and inside there's a brain IC with an antenna that allows inventory visibility. But going forward, the industry is moving towards embedded tagging. Here I have an actual Decathlon label that's sewn into the garment. It is the care label of the garment, and it becomes part of the garment. And as we get better going forward into the future, this label will be able to survive washing and dry cleaning, such that it becomes an essential part of the garment. It will identify the garment uniquely as being mine. When I take my garments to dry cleaners, they know it's mine, I can track it and trace it. And my garment, my jacket itself, becomes digitized. It becomes part of the digital world. So the first brain adoption wave was really those inlays based on paper labels. But I believe the future really is to have embedded tagging, where the tag is an essential part of the item. So what can we as an industry do to make that change? One thing we need to do, as I'll talk about in just a minute, is focus on consumer privacy. Because when my jacket is connected, I need to ensure that my privacy is protected. Number two is to develop that embedded technology and know-how. How do we get items? How do we get a label inside a garment? Well, in a garment, it's easy, it's sewn in a care label, maybe. Or maybe the rain IC becomes a piece of thread that gets sewn into the garment. But as you think about those smart refrigerators, golf balls, and other use cases, we really, as an industry, need to work together to find a way to efficiently embed that IC, that rain IC, right into the item, become a part of the item. And in so doing, we start to think more about pre-encoded identifiers in those rain tags with a link to the cloud. Because at the end of the day, that rain tag that's in my garment, it doesn't carry very much information. It carries a unique number. And the future holds that that unique number is a pointer to the cloud, where there's a digital representation, a digital twin of this item that stores the information about it. So driving that link to the cloud and enabling connectivity for my item to the cloud really is the future of our industry. Task number 2 for our industry, I really believe, is to engage the consumer. Today, most of what our industry does is business to business. It's B2B transactions, contract fulfillment, tracking shipments, or within a business, knowing the inventory in the store. But what the future really holds is RAIN delivering benefits directly to people. Directly to me, directly to you. Delta Airlines is the first large RAIN deployment to directly benefit consumers. Where you have an app that can tell you where your bag is. And as we saw in the last presentation, the future really holds that consumers go into a smart fridge and pull out an item whose expiration date is checked by the system based on the RAIN tag and get the benefit of that RAIN tag. And then maybe they bring the item home and put it in their refrigerator. And that refrigerator also has a reader and can track the items and need continuous inventory visibility and track expiration date. So what do we need to do? We need to teach consumers about RAIN. So as I think back to the past, when I used to go into hotels, I would actually look at hotels and think, I want to find a hotel that has Wi-Fi. Before Wi-Fi was really prevalent, because I need Wi-Fi, I need connectivity. And I, as a consumer, requested Wi-Fi. I envision a future when consumers request RAIN-enabled item connectivity because they benefit from it. They know what it is and they benefit from it. But for us to be successful, I really believe that we as an industry, starting now, need to address consumer privacy. Consumer privacy has not raised itself in a big way, and hopefully it won't in the future. But as I think of my shirt or my garment or my jacket being continuously connected, privacy becomes more and more important. And what we as an industry can do is get ahead of that positioning so that we know what our answers are already. And so for the RAIN Alliance, what I see the opportunity to be is to create a privacy statement. The RAIN Alliance is a relatively new alliance. It's only 4.5 years old, yet in 4.5 years we have more than 160 members and so many people attending our meetings, and a lot of strength in the alliance to drive our industry forward. I believe that we as an industry need to address that privacy issue as an alliance and address those core concerns, avoiding the technological answers, but comforting people about our commitment to privacy and aligning our membership behind that messaging. And there's one word here, or one sentence here that I think is very important. And I wrote down here, an issue that affects one of us affects all of us. So if a privacy issue arises from one company, it's not a good thing, because it will affect and impact business for all of us. So it benefits us if the RAIN Alliance is our voice, is proactive, and takes a stance on consumer privacy. And furthermore, I think it would benefit all of us to create a privacy playbook. Privacy is, we say it's more important in some countries and maybe less in others. Some people say in Europe, privacy is more important than it is in North America and maybe more important than in Asia. But I don't really believe that. At the end of the day, people are people. And people want to know that their privacy is protected. They want to know that what's theirs is theirs and other people can't find out about their lives. And although the level of discussion about it may be different in different parts of the world, the level of importance of it is common across the world. So I think it's in our interest for the RAIN Alliance to be prepared, to learn from mistakes that others have made, for example, social media, always seeming to be behind and reactive in their responses, and for us to instead be proactive. And most importantly, to show RAIN's value. What does our technology do? It's going to transform the world. We will reduce waste and loss in the supply chain and in food products. We'll help track items like airline baggage and other things that are yours, everything from your garment as it goes to the dry cleaner, to that age or expiration date of food, to automotive parts, to how long they've been in your car, or whether they're even the right airbag for your car, to improving food safety. The fact that we as an industry can connect every single item and give that item a unique identity and connect that item to the cloud where a person can get more information about that item and track that item and know about that item is incredibly powerful. We need to show the value as we educate consumers about the benefits of what we do. And task number 3, I believe, for our industry is really to educate the ecosystem, especially our end users. We are a young technology. People always ask me, well, gosh, RFID's been around for more than 10 years. Why is it taking so long for everything to be connected? And I think back and I think about my mobile phone. This technology is about 35 years old. I first used a mobile phone in a car, in a briefcase, in the 1980s. It took 30 years to get to the phone that we all use today. And yet for RAIN RFID, we're talking about something bigger than phones. We're talking about connecting every item in the world. That connectivity will take time. And we advance that connectivity and advance what we're going to accomplish via education. Via educating people that RAIN RFID truly will connect everything in the world. There'll be other technologies, vision, QR codes, many other technologies, but RAIN will fundamentally connect everything. So we want to optimize deployments for success, and help our end users future-proof their investments. And actually allow our end users to take advantage of future cost reductions and future improvements, because our technology is on a very, very, very fast improvement curve from a technological perspective. So here I'm going to talk about 2 specific areas where I think educating our consumers will help. The first one is newer and more sensitive tag ICs and smaller inlays generate smaller radio signals. I'll, in the next slide, talk a little bit about what that means. And the second one is cloud memory is cheaper and more reliable than tag memory. You may question me, here's Chris, and I make tag ICs saying that tag memory is more expensive than cloud memory, but it is the truth. It's a fact. At the end of the day, we want the information stored, the information about an item, stored in the cloud. So, if I look at how a system works, a RAIN RFID system, a tag antenna is like a mirror, reflecting information. The way the system works is a reader down here sends information as pulses to the tag. And then the tag listens for the command. It sees these pulses and says, oh, it's like Morse code. It sees it and says, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. And then the reader sends energy. No modulation, just sends energy. And the tag changes its reflectance like a mirror, backscattering information. So I'll do a short demo here and say to give an idea what I'm talking about, and then explain the impact of it. So, as tags get smaller, the reflected energy goes down. And what we as an industry should teach our end users as those tags get smaller and those ICs get less sensitive, it's very important that end users buy readers that can hear the smaller tags. So Todd, do you have a flashlight? So if I think about today's generation tags, they're like a big mirror. I don't know if I'm reflecting here, but they're like a big mirror. And the tag reflects energy literally by changing its reflectance. Reflecting energy, big signal going out, and then turning this way, and nothing goes out. And I can send information just like this, just by changing the reflectance of the mirror. As I get to a more modern tag IC, a smaller tag IC that's more sensitive, I can use a smaller antenna. And it still works, but it generates a smaller signal. When we think about educating our end users, we need to educate our end users that the future is the smaller tags. It's not the big ones, it's the small ones. And our end users need to buy readers and design their systems so that they can use smaller tags. And the reason I raise this point is that today we have systems integrators, some others in the industry specifying the strength of a tag backscatter. They say a tag backscatter has to be such a big signal. They specify around today's tags like it has to be a big signal like this. That's fine. But then what happens is when the industry makes smaller tags, the end user's readers can't hear them. And this is happening very often today. So one of the things we as a RAIN industry do, or should do, I believe, is educate our end users. That as the tags get smaller, the signal gets weaker. And they should be designing their systems, constructing their systems for the future. So that as the tags get smaller and cheaper, they can use the cheaper tags. And the second area where I think it's important that we as an alliance educate our end users is around tag memory cost. So roughly, 1 bit in tag memory is the same cost as 1 megabit in the cloud. Because the tag IC is very small. It has a very tiny amount of memory, a couple of hundred bits. And yet it has to have all the support circuitry to make that memory work. Whereas memory in the cloud has huge economies of scale. And in fact, the cost of memory in the cloud is decreasing faster than the cost of memory in one of our RAIN tag ICs. It's a factor of 1 million to 1 today, and it's going in the other direction. At some point in the future, it will be several million to 1. For reasons just of cost, and of driving down the cost of RAIN tagging so we can connect every single thing in the world, it's in our interest to put the minimum amount of memory on a tag and put the most memory in the cloud and use the tag as a pointer to that memory in the cloud. The entire world is becoming connected. The connectivity is there as our industry grows. What we do is point to the cloud. And furthermore, tag ICs, even though the memory costs more, are not as reliable. They break. Everything breaks. Cloud memory is one of the most reliable things. You don't worry about cloud memory going down or breaking. But I can take a tag IC and accidentally step on it and break it, and then the information in the memory is lost. So for us, going forward in the future, we want the tag to be a pointer, as I've said, potentially using a barcode or a QR code as a backup in case the tag gets damaged, and then store as much information as we can about an item and a digital twin of that item to the cloud. And we as an industry connect every item to its digital twin in the cloud. That is our future, and that is our opportunity. And to the extent that we can make very low-cost ICs and enable that connectivity, we win as an industry. And I think the task number 4 for our industry is to sell the vision. This was one of the early RAIN Alliance slides, and the mission and the vision of our alliance haven't changed. The mission to enable businesses and consumers to identify, locate, authenticate, and engage items in our everyday world. Critically important words: identify, uniquely identify, locate, find where an item is, authenticate the item as being genuine, and let a person engage with that connected item through its digital twin. And our vision is a future where everyday things are part of a connected world, where we connect every single thing in the world. That is our opportunity. It is the biggest opportunity that there has ever been. And we are just at the beginning of it, but it is our opportunity, and we need to sell our vision. So what we as an industry have delivered up to now is reading. We have readers, and up there's an example of a Delta belt loader and the Track My Bags app. And identification. We put tags on items, for example, a piece of luggage, and can identify those items, and then let systems track those items. We have done that. But our future is to enable that digital life for items. And that digital life for items really gives us the Internet of Things opportunity. We don't get the Internet of Things opportunity just by connecting the items. We get it by letting people engage with those connected items. So our opportunity is that digital life. It's really about the twin, about the data stored in the cloud. It's about people engaging connected items, and it's about developers innovating an IoT ecosystem on items. What do I mean by that? If I think about this phone, by itself, this phone is an interesting thing. I can make a phone call. What is the real value in this phone? Real value at the end. It's the fact that there are thousands and thousands of applications built on this phone and its connectivity that give the real value. WeChat app, track my bags, so many other apps. It's not the phone itself. The phone is a tool that allows me to link to cloud-based applications and data and accomplish something I want to accomplish. It's a medium. Rain RFID right now is focused on doing the connection. We're making the connection. It's hard, we gotta do it. But like a phone that doesn't have any apps, there's one app. It's a Delta Track My Bags app. In fact, I'll argue that Delta Track My Bags is probably the only way you as a person can engage with an item connected by Rain RFID. But what we want is developers innovating all kinds of apps on that data. We want to connect the items and have developers building on that IoT ecosystem, and that is the vision that we should hold for the future. And when we do it, what we have to deliver to get there is to create a digital twin of every physical item in the cloud, so that this tag points to a location in the cloud where there is information about that item, and continuously adding information. We need to deliver those digital twins. We need to deliver item number resolution to the cloud, to the twin, so that when I read a tag as a consumer, I know where to go to get information. And we want to store item history, ownership, and links in the twin. Item history, where the item has been. Item ownership, it's mine. And links to where I go get more information, where the apps are that I can actually use for my item. And when we deliver these things, we will truly have enabled the Internet of Things, of everyday things, which is the promise we have in front of us. So as we go along that journey, I believe there's one very important thing that we have to do. It may seem trivial, but I believe it's very important, and that is to brand our technology. We are RAIN. We're not RFID. RFID is LF RFID, NFC RFID, 433 megahertz short-range devices, UHF, even UHF is more than RAIN, microwave, UWB. RFID is like saying radio, and there's many, many standards. And there's no industry alliance for RFID. And there's many issues. The first thing I see when I go on the web and type in RFID is I get this. I can get the best RFID blocking ball. Well, is that really what we want consumers, people, to think about when they hear about the technology we're delivering to connect every item in the world and to benefit them? No. RFID has a lot of negative baggage associated with it. And what I hear, even in our RAIN Alliance meeting, probably 1/3 of the people are using RAIN, and 2/3 are still using RFID. And I understand that because the transition takes time. But RFID as the name, for our industry, is not going to help us going forward. Here, there's even an alliance called Stop RFID. We don't want that. When I tell people what I do, and they say, RFID is that, I have all that history and it's consumer privacy, I say, no, we do Rain. It's a new technology. It connects items and brings you all these benefits like the Delta Track My Bags app. So Rain is our future. One frequency, one standard, one alliance, and a lot of promise. And so I think it benefits all of us as we refer to what we do as Rain, much more than we use RFID. And so I believe our opportunity is now. We have an industry name, Rain. You may say, why Rain? Why did you come up with the name Rain? The idea is the link to the cloud is critically important. I just use the word cloud. Nobody thinks second thought if I say cloud. But cloud is just something in the sky, right? But when I use the word cloud, everybody's comfortable with that wording. So when we came up with the name Rain, we actually prototyped the Rain logo, not on the slide, the Rain logo on a phone. And Google was one of our early members, and we prototyped it, and we said, what about the name Rain? And they said, we have cloud, no reason you guys can't have Rain. Rain is ubiquitous, Rain is everywhere, Rain brings life, and that's really where our name came from. We will be as ubiquitous as cloud. And we have a huge opportunity. Retail apparel, aviation, supply chain, food, so many more opportunities. And right now, the efforts of IATA, the airline organization, place us squarely in front of people. IATA's 283 member airlines are poised to vote for all of them to adopt Rain RFID over the next couple of years. It's a big deal. And our technology, even just on that airline initiative, will be squarely in front of people. It's Rain. Now is the time to get together, create momentum behind the Rain name, the brand, and the vision. The vision, the future where everyday things are part of a connected world. For us to align behind it and to promote it. Referring to our Rain market and technology as RFID really undersells our value. And can you imagine Bluetooth or Wi-Fi being as successful as they are if we called them radio? If I walked into a hotel and said, what's your radio password? People would look at me like I had two heads. We say Wi-Fi. We say NFC. We say radio. And I think that as we go forward and look towards the future and educate our consumers, build the ecosystem, enable deployability, ensure that we're ahead on privacy, and sell our vision that we as the ready industry will connect every item in our everyday world. And that is really a big deal. Thank you.